what were the big rocks that you guys saw that really improved your health?
Antibiotics, full stop there for me. It's obviously like a bit of like a controversial sort of topic, because this is kind of an area where the mainstream as well as like the alternative, like kind of, they both hate antibiotics, because the mainstream is very concerned about antibiotic resistance and overuse, which, you know, is a concern. I'm not saying it's not. And then you have like the alternative crowd that is very much like, oh, you're going to destroy your good gut bacteria, and it's going to be like a huge problem and you should stay away from it. So yeah, there's obviously like a lot of negativity around antibiotics, but I think that if you're using them safely, properly, at the right doses, and kind of, you know, always like following your instinct about these things, then yeah, I mean, in my life, it was literally like, it was one of those things where like when I first took them, it was like, I can't believe that like I lived my life like without this, basically. Like, I can't believe that my life was like that before. And yeah, I mean, it's very, very powerful what you can do when you modulate the digestion in the right direction.
Was it just one round of antibiotics, or was this a continuous thing?
So I didn't really take it in like a course sort of fashion. It was more like kind of like sporadic. Like if I would, you know, you get familiar with them to the point where it's like you almost like crave them, and they would almost like taste good like when you have them, because your body is like recognizing that it's doing something good. It's at least my theory. So yeah, it was pretty sporadic, playing with different types, playing with different doses. And I'm not saying that it's foolproof, because I've definitely, you know, I definitely in the past like had taken too much, or taken them at the wrong time, or wasn't focusing on other aspects of my diet and lifestyle. And it can definitely bite you in the ass. Like it's definitely a double-edged sword. Like you are playing with fire. Like I'm not suggesting that anyone just go out and take them willy-nilly just because, you know, certain people have good experiences with them. But yeah, I think if you're using them in the right context, then they can just be like absolutely world-changing. So
yeah, it's an interesting point that you bring up there too, because about both sides of the antibiotic argument, you have the mainstream saying worrying about antibiotic resistance, and then you have other people worrying about nuking your microbiome, and neither is wrong, right? Like there's truths in both sides, and that's kind of the whole theme of the diet sphere. It's like there's things that are true in carnivore and vegan and, you know, keto, whatever. They're just not the whole truth, because they're typically tied to a certain idealism that may or may not be true.
There is like truth to both sides of it. So like, for instance, you know, if you like give a very young child a lot of antibiotics, very common, children that get ear infections pretty easily. And the doctor's response is always to just like give them a crap ton of amoxicillin or whatever. And that has been shown, especially at the early developmental stages in the life. It's very like the gut flora is very like fragile at that point. So messing it up with crap tons of antibiotics does in fact seem to be a serious problem for setting you up for things like autoimmune conditions, even type 1 diabetes, skin problems, gut problems, obviously. So yeah, like the context is very important, because a lot of times we're talking about these things. You hear about bacterial diversity, more bacteria, less bacteria, or antibiotics are good, probiotics are good. But, you know, you can have an instance where someone takes an antibiotic and improves their like gut flora composition, or you could have a situation where someone takes it and it completely ruins it. So it's really about the dose, the timing, the type of antibiotic that is used. And then, of course, the situation that a person's in. So like in my case, when I used them, like I was dealing with a very significant bacterial overgrowth. So like obviously like taking low dose penicillin and like tetracyclines was very beneficial for me. But if someone already had very good like digestion, I would not say like, oh yeah, just like start taking penicillin for like no reason. Like, yeah, then in that case, I wouldn't be surprised at all if the person got diarrhea or start having liver issues or whatever the case may be. So yeah, like you said, like, you know, there's truth, but you know, it's not as simple as antibiotics bad, probiotics good, and you know, it's all about the context.
All right, if you enjoyed that clip, make sure to click up here to check out the full episode. Till next time, guys.